Hello, everyone. I hope everybody had a nice weekend and everything. We're going to jump right into this video. We've been talking about the Donald Trump Epstein saga. Of course, we are going to find out if they're going to release the Epstein files. My guess is no, because if so, they would have done it by now. Well, the good thing about this is they have been working with Jeffrey Epstein's estates, and that is how you guys have been able to see what you've been able to see, because the White House is not interested in releasing any photos that's going to further incriminate the criminal, and that's a high specification, the criminal thug that we have in the White House, better known as Donald Trump. Okay. Now, Epstein files newly released. Not only do we see Trump, we've been knowing that Trump was Epstein's best friends. And y'all know what they say about best friends. A lot of times you are just like your best friend. But there are photos with Clinton, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Steve Bannon, and others in newly released photos. Now, nearly 100,000 photos obtained by a House committee from the estates of the notorious sex predator Jeffrey Epstein include images of President Donald Trump and our former president Bill Clinton, Microsoft founder Bill Gates, film director Woody Allen, former White House advisor Steve Bannon, and others in social gatherings. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to re-emphasize this. The photos that were released did not come from the White House. They have been working, the House committee have been working with the estate of Jeffrey Epstein, and this is where they're getting this information from, okay? Now, we know that Trump was a longtime friend of Epstein before the two had a falling out. And they say, sometime that was in the early 2000s, okay, is about the time to when they allegedly fell out. Now, let's get into these disturbing photos raise even more questions about Epstein and his relationship to some of the most powerful men in the world. We will not rest until the American people get the truth. Okay, so, and this is something that Donald Trump has said. We cannot believe what Donald Trump says, but what we can do is we can pick out what seems to be true or likely true, and then whatever is a lie, obviously we don't believe it. Now, these are the photos. Of course, they took the women's faces out because obviously if these women are victims, we don't want to be showcasing them all over the internet and taking advantage of victims like the nasty pedo Donald Trump did, okay? Donald Trump is nasty and he's disgusting, and he's a 34-time criminal felon in the White House. Not only is he that, Donald Trump was sued for sex allegations, and guess what? The lady won. Okay, so we're not dumb. So we're not even going to get into that, because you know what it feels like to win and to lose. Donald Trump is a nasty pedo, is what he is. So here are the photos. Obviously, they blotted out those women's faces because, again, we don't want to be like Donald Trump and, be putting victims on profile, because these people were taken advantage of by nasty Donald Trump and his billionaire accomplices. Okay, now getting into these photos, let's get into what they're saying. Nearly 100,000 photos obtained by House Democrats from the estate of the notorious sex predator Jeffrey Epstein include images of the dirty, nasty Donald Trump, former President Bill Clinton, Microsoft founder Bill Gates, film director Woody Allen, and former White House advisor Steve Bannon, and others in social gatherings. And let's just help out some of people that don't understand. This ain't about Republicans or Democrats. This is about whoever was with Jeffrey Epstein. We want to know names. We want to know everybody's name. We already know filthy McNasty Donald Trump, who's the 34-time felon. We already know he was affiliated with what's his dude name? Nasty Jeffrey Epstein. But now we also have proof that Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, yada yada, which is interesting because Donald Trump did mention, Bill Clinton's name, but he left out his own name. Now, one image among a batch of photos released Friday morning shows Trump standing in the middle of a row of 6 women whose faces were covered over by the Democrats before this information was released. Some of the women are wearing Hawaiian leaves around their necks. Trump is shown in another photo standing behind Epstein at what appears to be a social event. A third photo shows Trump sitting next to a woman whose face is blacked out on what appears to be a plane. Trump was a longtime best friend, best cousin, best friend of Jeffrey Epstein before the two men had a falling out sometime in the nearly 2000s. He has not been accused of any wrongdoing in connection to Epstein. He hasn't been accused of any wrongdoing, but there is a video where Jeffrey Epstein said that Donald Trump was with victims. Now, I can bring that video up, okay? Of course, Donald Trump is a liar. Who believes a 34-time felon, a man that was, sued for SAing somebody? Whatever he has to say is meaningful at this point. So of course, Donald Trump has denied all of, he didn't do nothing. Let his lying ass 34-time felon, okay? Now, Clinton is being showed in one photo standing next to Epstein and also Ghislaine Maxwell and another woman. The photo has Clinton's signature on it. Okay. Other photos show former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, Britain's Prince Andrew, and Epstein's one-time lawyer Alan. Now, the dates and locations and context of the photos were not revealed as part of the release on Friday. Okay. So, yeah, Trump is a king to the pedos, apparently. I mean, you're probably a pedo, right? Of course you are. So the latest production contains over 95,000 photos, including images of the wealthy and powerful man who spent time with Jeffrey Epstein. A statement from Democrats on the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee said images also include thousands of photographs of women and Epstein. These women were at his properties. The statement said committee Democrats are reviewing the full set of photos and will continue to release photos to the public in the days and weeks ahead. Committee Democrats are committed to protecting the identity of the survivors. As I stated, they're going to not show you the women's faces because we want to protect victims. We don't want to be nasty, like filthy, nasty Donald Trump, okay? We want to make sure that we are protecting victims. So these photos have been released. Like I said, they're going to not show you the women because we don't know if these women were victims, or we don't know pretty much what was going on, but we know that this information is being released, and it's being released because the Democrats have went over and above to get this stuff released. And keep in mind, this is not coming from stinky Donald Trump. This is actually coming from Jeffrey Epstein's estate, because we are still waiting for Donald Trump to release the information, which he doesn't want to release it because releasing it means that he would have to answer more questions. And just like the criminal he is, he's going to not release those files. Now, let's get into how everybody just don't like Donald Trump, except for a few people. We call them the uneducated, low vibrational people. Okay. If we look at Donald Trump's approval rating, baby, it is going to shit. Okay. Let's get into it. Approval of Trump's handling of the economy and immigration are down about 10 points since March. Border security remain Trump's best issue with 50% approval. So what that pretty much means is don't nobody like dumbass Donald Trump, but a few slow people, because the average person don't like Donald Trump. And for the people that do like him, they only like him because they feel like he's doing something with border security. He ain't doing shit with the economy. In fact, the economy is going to hell like a bunch of y'all lives. In March 2025, a few months into Donald Trump's second term, his overall job approval was 42%. Wow, didn't I just say that? I just said Donald Trump's approval rating was in the shitter. Similar shares approved of how he was handling of the economy, which people are like 40%, immigration 49%. Okay, we do got some delulus in this world. Since then, fewer adults have a positive view on how Trump is handling his job overall, the economy, and immigration. So people don't like this man. Nobody likes him, of course, except for a little, retards. We do got slow people. He didn't get there by educated people like myself, masters, highly educated. I practically got a 4.0, didn't even study. That's how smart I am. And I don't have 34 felonies. Okay, let's get back into it. Since then, fewer adults have a positive view on how Trump is handling his overall job, the economy. Let me read that for you slow, people in the back. I know some people are slow. You gotta like break it on down for them. Break it on down. Let me read it slow. Since then, fewer adults have a positive view of how Trump is handling his job. That means fewer adults mean less. They don't have a positive view on Donald Trump because he is the Lulu, old and dumb, not to mention his record and what he's been doing to these women. The economy and immigration is all in the shitter. Border security remains his best issue on the poll with 50% approval. So some people feel like, okay, he's protecting whatever. So he got a little something there, but that's still 50% not good enough, because the average person, educated like myself, went to college, smart, builds her own business, makes her own money. We know that this is a dumb FUCK. He didn't finish college. In fact, his own instructor said Donald Trump was the dumbest person in his class. And I can look that up if y'all don't believe me. Okay, let's finish. Including getting positive marks from nearly all Republicans. Of course, the Republicans, unfortunately, we live in a day and time where the Republicans are a bunch of bitches. Yes, that's exactly what they are. They don't stand up for what's right. They just go with a felon president because he's white. Let's just keep it real. Now, if this was Obama, y'all MFers would be pulling your old wigs off and pulling off your suntan lotion. But because this is a white queer person, you allow it to go on. Okay, a 34-time felon. How did we get here? A whole scammer in the White House. So Donald Trump's approval rating is going to the shitter. Of course, for the people who worship Donald Trump as if he was Jesus out of heaven, you all, that's a mental disability that you kind of gotta work on there. But in terms of his approval rating and what he's doing to healthcare, some of you people will not be able to go to the doctor soon because you can't afford it. But why don't you show up to Donald Trump's front door? Because since you worship him as if he was God,
Care subsidies, those expire in just a few weeks. Millions of Americans.
Let me rewind that for the back. Let me rewind it again here from the beginning. But let me kind of give y'all like some background to what this is, because I start to think that it's a lot of trolls in here, But let me break this down for you. Even a kindergartner can understand this. So basically, some of you people will not be able to afford to go to the doctor. You get your insurance from the marketplace. You have to pay a premium every month. Some of y'all will not be able to afford it because the premiums in some cases have went up 3 times the amount. So imagine if you were receiving your health care from the ACA, which is called the Affordable Care Act. Let's say your premium was $500 a month. In some cases, it can go up to $1,500. So imagine if you was paying $500 and it goes up 3 times that amount, how you gonna be able to afford that? So this is a problem. Now, I know you are gun-ho Trump supporters and you think for some reason that he created the world or whatever it is you think, but you should show up to the White House and find out if he can give you some money to pay for your affordable health care, because some of you guys won't be able to go to the doctor.
Obamacare subsidies, those expire in just a few weeks. Millions of Americans could lose a lot of money when their premiums go up. So why was the president maybe being a little bit conciliatory? You may have noticed Harriet
I'm right here.
is standing here with me right now.
Who knew?
He's been here listening to this entire conversation so far. CNN's chief data analyst right now.
I just had to stop this because sometimes I try to ignore, but then sometimes I just want to cuss a hoe out. John Smith, your father probably was a PEDO. I bet he messed with little boys and he probably messed with you too. That's why you put this bullshit in my chat. So I'm going to ban you, okay? Go get help, okay? Go get help.
Talk about health care.
Yeah.
What do Americans say? How do Americans rate the president right now on the issue of health care?
Just flat out awful. In fact, it's the worst of his major issues. I mean, just take a look here. It's according to the new AP New York poll. 20.
Wait a minute. Didn't I just say this? Like, I'm not making this shit up. Like, I do have better things to do here. But this is a fact of what is really happening. Donald Trump is approved by 29% of the people. That's not good. I mean, you guys do know what approve mean. You do know what disapprove mean. So nobody really with common sense likes Donald Trump because he's simply not doing anything. Let's just be real. I'm gonna be honest. I'm more like an independent. I don't care if the president is a Republican or a Democrat. I want to know what their policies are and how are they going to make it a better place. Okay. Not saying I depend on the government to do anything for me, but I'm just saying, in terms of this man's approval rating, it is 29%. So it's not just me that feels like he's a crock of SHIT. Apparently, the majority of the country feels the same way.
9%. He doesn't even reach 30% on it. Approve of the job. I was looking back at all the AP New York polls. This ties for his lowest rating ever in either term 1 or term 2. Disapprove more than double, 69%, runs 40 points higher than the approval. That is gosh darn awful. It's horrendous. And when you look at Republicans, even 39% of Republicans say they disapprove. When we're talking about 2/5 of the Republican base saying they disapprove of Donald Trump on a particular issue, you know that the American people are against him. And I should point out.
Oh, wait a minute. The American people are against Trump? I thought it was just me. Right. I forgot. MAGA stands for Make Argentina Great Again. Yeah, it definitely stands for not Make America Great Again, because this man hasn't done shit for America, but he's done stuff for all the other countries. So it definitely does not stand for Make America Great Again. And for all you people in the chat that like Donald Trump, I just want to know, like, where do you work? Like, do you know people who've lost their jobs? Do you know people who depend on the Affordable Health Care Act? Tell me, what has Donald Trump done? What has Donald Trump done? What has he done? How about that? What the hell has he done except for break shit and ruin shit? Nobody likes him. Look at the approval rating. It speaks for itself.
This 29% is no outlier. I was looking at the Fox News poll. That was sub 35% as well. The bottom line is Americans very much dislike Donald Trump and healthcare. It is no wonder he's taking a more conciliatory tone.
All right, the immediate issue
I
at
just want to answer a question. Somebody put in the chat, the president doesn't affect my life. I mean, how does he not affect your life when he has the ability to make your health care go up? So if that doesn't affect you, either you have unlimited money or you don't care about health care. It doesn't affect my life in a lot of ways, but in some ways it does. Like right now, I don't receive the ACA because I still receive COBRA from my job that I previously used to work at. So I get to get COBRA for a few years. Now, if I don't pay for a separate healthcare plan and I decide I want to use the ACA, the premium is going to be high. Now, for me, because I wasn't on the Affordable Health Care Act, it's not going to be such a payment shock to me because I was never on it previously. But to say that the government has no effect on your life, I just wonder what part are you like, what exactly are you talking about? Because it actually does. And let me kind of explain this in another scenario, okay? Let's say you don't use the ACA. Let's say you use your employer's insurance. I'll tell you this, your employer paid insurance will go up as well, which means your premium will go up. So when you say it doesn't affect you, I don't kind of know what you mean. I mean, you got to kind of elaborate because essentially it's going to affect everybody. Now, some people may have a little bit more money than others, which means, you know, maybe you can afford to pay $300-400. But what I'm trying to touch on is why, while you can afford to pay the extra $400-500 or whatever it may be, you have to understand some people are on fixed incomes. They may not be able to afford that. We have people that's disabled. They may not be able to afford that. So it may not affect you as much, but it will affect you to some point. And if you don't believe me, just keep watching.
handy is the extension of these Obamacare subsidies. They expire within 3 weeks. What do voters say they want to see there?
Extend it. They want to see him extend it. I mean, this, once again, what are we talking about here? We're talking about a clear majority of the American public say they want those expiring ACA subsidies extended compared to just 30% who say let them expire. Again, we're talking double, more than double on the extend side versus the let expire. And even 45% of Republicans on my little note there say that they should be extended. Again, we're talking about an issue that unites Democrats and cracks the Republican base right down the middle. This is just awful politics for Republicans.
As we stand here today, they are not going to be extended. If that remains the case, who gets the blame?
Yeah, I don't think it will be too much of a surprise to our viewers based upon the presentation, based upon the first slide, what our last slide is going to show you here. And this is really simple. Blame if ACA subsidies aren't extended. This is among those who are enrolled in the ACA. Look at this, 63%. The vast, clear majority say Trump or congressional Republicans will get the blame, compared to just 19% of congressional Democrats. Again, the point.
Okay, so let's talk about it for a moment. When we talk about Congress and rules and laws being passed, it matters who has the most, Democrats, who has the most Republicans. Basically, in Donald Trump's administration and the way that it's set up, they can pretty much do a lot of what they want, although they've been breaking a lot of laws. I mean, obviously, we can take them to court on that particular issue. But as it relates to this Affordable Care Act, Donald Trump and his DEI administration holds the entire weight of this because they can make a change if they want to make a change. But at this point, they don't want to, because Donald Trump is only interested in helping his billionaire donors and people who got millions of dollars. And probably, I don't know if anybody in the chat got $1 million or a few $1 million. Put a 1 in the chat, because in all honesty, I don't even think Donald Trump is interested in, somebody having $1 million. He wants you to be able to donate to this bullshit that he puts before us. And he's just not interested in everyday people. So if you work a job, I can tell you this, Donald Trump is not interested in you. Possibly if you have a large corporation and you're making millions or maybe billions of dollars, yeah, you may be of some use to him. But Donald Trump is not interested in everyday people, because what y'all fail to realize is Trump is not an everyday person. Donald Trump never had to work for shit in his life. His father gave him everything. And that is the connectability that regular everyday people just don't have with Trump, because he doesn't know what it feels like to go to work every day because he never had to.
The point of this segment is we are seeing massive majorities blaming Trump, saying they want the ACA subsidies to be extended, and if they're not, they are blaming the Republican Party and Donald Trump. The polling is rarely ever this clear, but on this issue, it is very much clear. This is an issue that hurts Republicans and very much helps Democrats.
It's interesting. This number is interesting because the Republicans argue that Democrats who wrote this law and passed it, they did so. They were the ones who created the expiration date, right? So it's their fault, but American people don't seem to be buying it.
No, they don't buy the Republican spin at all.
Ariane, thank you.
Thank you, John.
The Senate rejected dueling bills to extend the Obamacare tax subsidies. Both the Republican and Democratic versions failed. But 4 Republicans did cross the aisle and support the Democratic bill, which extends the Obamacare subsidies for another 3 years. So is there hope for a compromise? Well, President Trump seems to think so. Tonight, he is signaling that he may be open to working with Democrats.
What a nice group of Democrats. We do. We have a lot of Democrats, and we welcome you. Honestly, we do. And I think we're going to start working together in healthcare. I really predict that.
Well, joining me now, a Democrat who Trump may want to work with, Georgia Senator and Pastor Raphael Warnock. Good evening, Senator. I'm happy to have you here and get your insight, because everyone's asking about the fact that today's Democratic bill failed. So what happens now? Is there any hope of some deal in the Senate?
Thank you so very much. Great to be here with you. Quite frankly, you should ask my Republican colleagues, because we gave them 13 opportunities to prevent this huge spike in healthcare premiums for some 22 million Americans, many of them in red districts and in red states. They will see their healthcare premiums double on.
Did y'all hear that? They will see their health care premiums double. Somebody put in the chat, Trump is king. Can you just please explain to me, what do you mean Trump is king? I mean, because we don't have kings in America. So are you maybe in Argentina or something? Because we don't have kings here. And if we were to have a king, I don't think we would want a felon man that's been sued for S-ing women to be a king. Even if we decided that we wanted a king, why would we pick him? Okay, so you got to let me know what you mean. Is you dumb? No, but your mammy is dumb, and possibly your pedo granddaddy who probably touched you. That's who's dumb. Okay, that is the only dumb person here is you. Okay, so if you can't explain to me why Trump is a king, then we'll just keep this broadcast going, because I know that you're just putting out nonsense because you don't have nothing else to say. Okay.
Average. For some people, it will triple, others it will quadruple. And that's on top of having knocked 15 million Americans off of their health care by cutting $1 trillion out of Medicaid, as they did in the one.
Well, somebody put we love Trump. Well, that's a lie, because we just watched the approval rating of Trump. So, I mean, who likes Trump or who loves Trump? Is it just you? Because nobody else seems to love him.
Big, ugly bill, all to give billionaires a tax cut. I think Americans have to ask themselves, who are the Washington Republicans working for? We'll keep pushing them. But we'll keep making this argument.
Somebody put in the chat, my granddaddy died. Well, your granddaddy probably died, but I'm wondering, where does the pedophilic, stuff come in your family, for the simple fact that you think Donald Trump is such a great person, and he's hung out with the man that has been convicted. I mean, he has 34 felonies. He's been sued by a woman for S-ing. So if you feel like he's a king, what was passed down in your heritage by your ancestors that makes you feel like a pedo is such a great person? So it's in your genes, baby.
All the way to November. But hopefully they will come to their senses and stand up for their own constituents, not have their health care premiums double.
The thought of that increase is astounding to people. It's terrifying thinking about everyone's budgets.
Somebody said, look at the election results. Well, unfortunately, with some people, they didn't learn in the first Trump presidency, and they are slow, like a bunch of you in the chat, and they voted for this pedo 34-time felon, thinking he was going to do everything that he said. But now, you know, they don't like his ass. So unfortunately, they were swindled and scammed like a bunch of the people in New York, because we know that Trump is old scamming ass Caucasian. Okay, so it is what it is.
In particular, with the top Republican here in Washington, D.C., the president of the United States, he is saying tonight that he thinks that Republicans and Democrats will work together to pass some.
I love it. You can't make this shit up. Trump supporters are the type to fart on their own pillowcases and complain about getting the pink eye. Whoa, I'm leaving that up there. I mean, the jokes write themselves. Trump supporters, listen, I need now in today's world, before I even consider being around somebody, I'm gonna find out who the hell you voted for. If you voted for Trump, get the hell away from me, because I know you know something is screwed up in your little brain. And then the fact, here's the deal, even if you was dumb enough to vote for Trump, all of the shit that this loser has done, if your mind has not recalibrated and you was like, oh shit, I should have did that, then I know a bunch of things about you. I know you are a little Lulu, you're a little crazy in your head, and then you like pedo. So that's, if you vote for Trump, I know that you are dangerous.
Type of healthcare reform. Have you heard from the White House?
What we've been hearing from Donald Trump over the last 10 years is that he's got a plan. He's coming up with a plan. Next week he'll have a plan. He has concepts of a plan. Meanwhile, this enrollment period, we're here. We're here. This is not about next month or next year. People need help right now.
I love it. I'm telling you, Sally. I'm telling you. This has become a new criteria in my inner circle. I'm just telling you, if you voted for Trump, that tells me all I need to know about you. Now, this is the only exception. If you feel regretful, because I feel like, sometimes people can be swindled and they'll do shit. We all know that Trump was here before, but seemingly we all forgot. I get it. We all have busy lives. We don't remember. But if you haven't up to this point realized that you voted for Trump and you made a bad decision, I'm not messing with you. If you voted for Trump, I'm telling you, you're not my type of person. And keep in mind, guys, this don't have nothing to do with white, black, Republican, or Democrat. Because I'll say it again, I don't consider myself a Republican or a Democrat. I vote on issues. I am really in the middle. So whatever you are saying you're going to do, if I like it, that's what I vote for. So if you are a Trump supporter, I can tell you right now, and you haven't realized that you made a messed up decision that's costing, look at this stuff. People are being deported, and we're not talking about illegal people. Keep in mind, I feel like if you're illegal, you shouldn't be here. However, we should follow the process. We shouldn't be going and get moms from picking up their kids at school, throwing them in jail. Come on now, give these people a process to get through whatever this situation is. How are you taking a mother that is there to pick up her kids? Now, what happens to this woman's kids? Give her the due diligence or whatever the process is. And then if the person hasn't followed it, then it is what it is. But going and then going to people's school, trying to take kids, like that ain't the way that this is supposed to be ran. Now, I did a previous video in which we talked about people that were deported just because they didn't, well, I shouldn't say deported, people that were jailed. They're in this bad place, this prison, because they didn't have their ID. Now, how many people have left their house, didn't have their ID? And just think about, You run somewhere and then you get pulled over and now you in jail. You sleeping on the floor. People saying that it's sewer water and that they're sleeping. This is just not the way that this is supposed to be. Now, I understand you want to get illegal people out, but you must follow a process. You can't look at somebody and be like, oh, you Mexican. Oh, come on, you got to go. That is racism. That has nothing to do with the proper protocol that our government should follow. So hear me when I say I'm with, if a person is illegal, they shouldn't be here, but we need to follow the correct protocol. There's no protocol being followed here. You're throwing people in jail. You're going to try to get people's kids. This is not the way that this, that this is not good. But again, we have a criminal thug in the White House. When I say a criminal thug, that is exactly what I mean. How many people do you know that has 34 felonies? 34. I'm not saying 1, 2, not even 3. 34 felonies. Still committing crimes while in office, and then got sued for honoring a woman. This is the person that you people voted for.
President.
A new poll shows that 67% of Americans don't actually approve of the president's handling of the economy and all that it contains. Is there a method for Democrats to sort of capitalize on that in 2026, given those concerns and what you have articulated about the Republican failures to work on help?
Okay, y'all just stop this. Go look at this person's profile. She says, you are delusional, woman. Trump is the greatest of all time. Kicking dip. This is a girl, a boy. Go somewhere and get you some self-esteem. This doesn't even sound right. Trump is the greatest for all time. You're delusional. Only person that's delusional, Billy, is your uneducated ass. Okay, thank you.
Healthcare.
Well, Laura, I was a pastor long before I came to the Senate, and I'm genuinely concerned about the people whose faces I see in my congregation every Sunday. This is not a political game for me. This is not about who's up or down, who's in or out, Democrats, Republicans. When you ask people across Georgia, they're not thinking about the politicians. They're asking who's going to address this affordability crisis that is real, that they are facing every single.
Can we talk about it? We don't give it. And that's what I keep telling people. Y'all think that this is a Democrat versus Republican. It really isn't. Like, this is about right versus wrong. Like, I have never in my life even been very concerned about what side of the fence a person is on. But when we get a crazy ass, dumb president that don't even have rocks for brains, and he's just out here, he's sleeping at meetings. They talking about the man got Alzheimer's. He don't remember shit. He's babbling. He needs to freaking go. Like, who is really running the country? Trump's approval rating on the economy falls to a staggering 31%. Now, I know all of these folks voted for Trump, but for some reason, they thought that they were going to receive something that they didn't receive.
Day. Which Donald Trump is calling a hoax, even though he ran on affordability. And what they're seeing is their utility bills have spiked considerably. Sadly, we're likely to see more of that because of the president's policies. Their health care premiums will be doubling, tripling. Some people will lose their health care altogether. And even as we go now into the holiday Christmas season, people are seeing that the cost of Christmas gifts are going way up.
Yes.
And instead of providing a solution, the president is providing advice on how many dolls and pencils parents should buy for their children.
Let me give y'all an example, because some of y'all want to sit here and act like you don't know what I'm talking about. So let me just bring it into myself, since we're talking about healthcare. And I had explained to you all, because, we got a bunch of rich folks in here. Y'all got all of that billionaire status money. So none of this affects you because you have more money than you need. So let me kind of bring it into perspective, because I don't mind talking about myself, okay? I told you all that I used to work for the government. When they started doing all of this shit, I'm like, you know what? This is the perfect time for me to go, because I really didn't like the damn job anyway. Okay. So I ended up getting paid through September 30th or something like that. They gave me the next month free, so I didn't have to pay for my health care. Now I got to pay for it because I no longer work there. Do you know how much I want y'all to guess if you can tell me how much my insurance is for 1 month. Keep in mind, I told y'all I'm on Cobra, but you still have to pay, because when you're on Cobra, you actually have to pay what your employer pays plus your share. Put in the chat what you think that I pay for healthcare every month. I'm gonna give y'all about a minute to put it in there. So I have a family plan. Do you know what I have to pay for Cobra? Oh, Billy, you're getting blocked because you're just too ignorant. Okay. So because I said I'm going to put myself on the line, I pay $2,400 a month for healthcare. $2,400. That's just for healthcare. So when somebody said 500. No, it's $2,400 per month for the plan that I had. So what I had to do is switch it, because I'm like, oh, $2,400 is too much. So I switched it down to a $1,400 plan, but still, that's a lot of damn money. So I know a lot of y'all don't want to own what's happening in the world, but it's serious, because when I saw $2,400, I said, damn, I can't pay $2,400 a month. So I had to switch. Somebody said $2,400. You probably don't even make $2,400, baby. But okay, carry on. $2,400. That's just for one bill. Yeah, $2,400 is nothing for one bill. I mean, if that was all of your bills, but I bet you don't even have $24. So yeah, $2,400 is the cost of my health care for the plan that I was on when I was at my job. So I ended up having to pay that, and then I switched it because I'm like, oh, that's too much, $2,400. So that is what I'm saying when I say healthcare prices are extremely high. Okay. And the reason why I chose to keep the Cobra, because I was working with a broker and I was just going to get my own insurance. And he says, wait a minute, don't get this insurance, because technically you might as well get your Cobra, use your Cobra up. And then if whatever is going on next, you can come back and pay for it. And it would probably be that price or a little bit more. So that's what I'm talking about when I say healthcare prices. So I get it. Some of y'all were putting in the chat that, the government doesn't affect you. It probably don't affect what you do at, your job, the money you make, but it do affect you in terms of like healthcare prices and things like that. So if you don't see that, again, you must have unlimited money. Okay. Good for you.
We can do better than that.
The vote in Senate failed to extend the subsidies, the dueling proposals between Republicans and Democrats in the Senate.
I want to touch on something else, because y'all have to start reading and doing your own research, okay? Illegals cannot get the ACA, just so you know. You can't, you guys got to stop believing everything that you see, when the two groups are fighting, everything is not always truth. So you're saying that illegals are getting the affordable health care? How? They can't get that. So it's almost impossible. Let me kind of explain to y'all something else. I'm pretty sure I told you all that I used to work for the Internal Revenue Service. Illegals cannot get the ACA. It is, you can't get it. I'm not even trying to explain it, but it is a whole process. When you get that, it's something you have to do with your taxes. You have to do this worksheet. So stop believing everything that you hear about, they're giving, this affordable health care to illegals. That is not true. So just want to touch on that.
Donald Trump last night, not pointing fingers, with a very different tone this time. Listen to this.
What a nice group of Democrats. We have a lot of Democrats, and we welcome you. Honestly, we do. And I think we're going to start working together in healthcare. I really predict that.
An olive branch, an opening. Yes, Maria?
Let's hope so. But we've seen up until now that Donald Trump says one thing one day and the next day can say completely different things. And we've known up until now that he has railed against Obamacare. Republicans have tried to get rid of Obamacare hundreds of times. They have had 15 years to come up with a viable alternative to the Affordable Care Act, and they have completely failed. So now, yes, let's try this, Donald Trump and Republicans. If you really want to help the American people, instead of giving them the middle finger, which is what they have done this whole year on the issue of the economy and on the issue of healthcare, Democrats are ready. We are ready and willing to sit down with Republicans to try to figure out a better way forward. That's what American families want. That's what they deserve. Hopefully Republicans have learned their lesson and will now work with Democrats to get that done for the American people.
Real quick, Scott, your smile indicates what? I can't read this one.
Yes, Republicans have learned our lesson about Obamacare, which we didn't vote for. Republicans have learned our lesson about Obamacare.
Okay, y'all heard that, which they didn't vote for. So in a nutshell here is they don't want you all to have health care. They don't want you all to have this health care where you can pay for. And let me kind of give y'all some more information. Generally, people who receive the ACA or Obamacare, a lot of those people are self-employed individuals. So they want you to go back to work and work for them. That's, and if you don't get health care that way, then you just won't have it. Trump likes uneducated. He said it himself. Listen, I've been saying this over and over. There's a whole video where he says he loves the uneducated. But when you're uneducated, you don't believe anything contrary to Donald Trump, because in your uneducated brain, somehow you think he's some kind of king, and we don't even have kings over here.
Obamacare subsidies, which Democrats had to have to fix Obamacare. Republicans have learned our lesson about the sunset provision that Democrats put on the Obamacare subsidies. This entire mess, this entire fiasco is a Democratic healthcare regime under which we all live. And Democrats have to pretend like everybody loves it. And then they have to come up with a scheme to pay health insurance companies billions of dollars and then beg Republicans to fix their mess. Yeah, we've learned our lesson, Maria. We'll see what happens. But this is your law, not ours.
I feel like
Whew, guys, this is terrible. So we know too that let's get into Marjorie Taylor Greene, because I've been telling y'all for weeks that MAGA make Argentina great again, thanks to the lady, or I don't know if it's a female or male, who put it in the chat, but that is definitely what it means. It definitely don't mean make America great again. So MAGA is crumbling, honey, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, Miss Marjorie Taylor Greene, is resigning from Congress. She's resigning, leaving, okay? She's leaving. But what she wants to do is bring them jokers down, okay? So let's get into what Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying, okay? Marjorie Taylor Greene, farewell gift to Mike Johnson. She wants to oust him and tell the American people what it is she knows. Now, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, she may be resigning from Congress. Now, she's resigning actually in January, but she's weighing in on the last act of defiance, a long shot bid to topple Speaker Mike Johnson. She says Mike Johnson is full of shit, and I believe her. In recent days, the controversy Georgia Republican has been working behind the scenes to gauge whether their support for a motion to vacate the chair. She wants Mike out of there. 3 sources familiar with her efforts who spoke on the condition, they spoke on this information. Under the House rules adopted at the beginning of this year, 9 Republicans are needed to trigger such a vote, and Greene is trying to figure out who might be willing to sign. Marjorie is approaching members to get to 9 who will oust the speaker, one of the sources said, and if we don't get to work on getting rid of him in this Trump agenda, anything can happen. And this is where I keep telling y'all, MAGA is crumbling, y'all. Make Argentina great again is crumbling, okay? But this is what happened in the last Trump term. I don't understand why people seem like they don't remember this. Like, why are we acting brand new? Okay. Marjorie Taylor Greene is coming for their ass. She wants Mike Johnson held accountable. And you know, people have said a lot about Mike Johnson. He is pretty much the puppet for Donald Trump. He's the puppet for Donald Trump. A lot of y'all are really uneducated in this damn chat. I'm just gonna block you bitches because y'all are just ignorant. You know, the bad thing about it is y'all putting all of this stuff in this chat. You know, I can just block you, right? I mean, it's real easy. So don't eat your heart out putting all your two brain cells in the chat when I could just block your asses. So that's just a word to the wise. Don't be so stupid. You know, you're putting all of this stuff in the chat and I'm just going to block you. So it's like you just wasted your time. But then you're non-educated, you know, like Trump said, uneducated. So we got these new photos. Donald Trump with his nasty behind is going down. Okay. He's going down like the trash ass that he is.
On the House Oversight Committee are releasing brand new photos from the estate of the late convicted sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein. And they show powerful figures like President Trump, Trump advisor Steve Bannon, and former...
Somebody said I block people because I can't handle the truth. No, bitch, I block you because you ignorant as F-U-C-K, and it doesn't make sense to go back and forth with an idiot, just like I just blocked your dumb ass.
President Bill Clinton, none of those released images depict any sexual misconduct, nor are believed to depict underage girls. It was not immediately clear when or where they were taken or by whom, for that.
Let me rewind this for the slow people in the back. New photos from Epstein estate show Donald Trump nasty pedo ass. Let's get it going.
Offender Jeffrey Epstein. And they show powerful figures like President Trump, Trump advisor Steve Bannon, and former President Bill Clinton. None of those released images depict any sexual misconduct, nor are believed to depict underage girls. It was not immediately clear when or where they were taken or by whom, for that matter. I want to go live right now to CNN anchor and chief White House correspondent Caitlin Collins, who's been working the story for us. Caitlin, what are we learning from these new images?
Well, this is some reporting I've done with my colleague Annie Grayer, and basically what we're getting and what we're seeing being released today are photos from the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee. It's from Jeffrey Epstein's estate, which has been turning over emails and other records of his from his life. This latest production is over 95,000 photos that he had on his computer, on his email server. And basically what they do, Wolf, is just reinforce and shed new light on the extent of the many powerful people that were in Jeffrey Epstein's orbit. I mean, you can see this when you look through these pictures, and they're available to scroll through in our story on CNN.com right now. And there are people including the current president, President Trump, former President Bill Clinton, Steve Bannon, Bill Gates, Richard Branson. A lot of these people that we knew had been linked to Jeffrey Epstein in the past, Wolf. But basically, this is just showing new angles of those relationships. And they're incredibly personal photos, and some of them and others, they're a bit silly. Some, it's kind of hard to even explain what you're looking at. We've published the ones that we've been able to online, though. And basically, they just show all the high and powerful people in his orbit. Well, there's one where it's got Bill Clinton with Epstein. There's one that includes Steve Bannon, who, as you remember, was a huge advisor to.
And basically, I mean, I know people are saying, "Oh, the photos don't show anything." Well, what it does show, and unfortunately, your brain is not big enough to, figure that part out. What it shows is this man's connection to rich people. That's what it shows. You guys are missing the full gamut of what you're seeing. No, we haven't saw anything that's criminal, but what it shows is that Jeffrey Epstein had a connection to rich, powerful white men. That's what it shows. Hello.
President Trump in the 2016 campaign and also worked for him in the White House. And they're just really remarkable images showing what Jeffrey Epstein's life was like before he became ensnared in all of this trouble, and when he was eventually, of course, charged.
Oh, well, the reason that I didn't say anything about minors is because, I mean, we just gonna leave that up to interpretation, because what they have done is blotted out the women's faces, because we don't know if these women were, we don't know what the situation. We don't know the situation, but what we do know is that this man had a connection to rich, powerful people. Come on, it wasn't like Jeffrey Epstein was this broke black person. He was a rich, wealthy white man who had connection to other white men. And what you think them white men with all that money was doing with them little girls and probably little boys?
And indicted for sex trafficking young underage women. And I should note, Wolf, as you noted, none of the pictures that we're releasing today that we've gotten our hands on show any sexual misconduct. We don't believe any show any underage girls. It's really just speaking more to Jeffrey Epstein's life and what that looked like. And lawyers for his estate basically told the
the hatred and the anger in this world is just astounding. I'm going to say it again. And I know you hoes don't like it, but I'm going to keep saying it. White, wealthy men. Let me know if you see a black one, because if we do see one, I'll be the first to call it out. But what we not going to do is sit over here and lie and pretend as if they're any other race. Rich, white men doing nasty stuff to little kids. Okay, do you see a black one or any other race? You guys hate to, you don't like the truth. And that is why you think Donald Trump is a king. The people are very rich white men. Okay, and they was doing some nasty things to kids. Oh, does that even rhyme?
Committee that they had photos, they have videos that were taken at any property that was owned, rented, operated, or used by Jeffrey Epstein for about 30 years. So that just kind of tells you the span of what you're looking at here, is Jeffrey Epstein was surrounding himself with a lot of powerful people, which of course we now know also helped insulate him at times from the crime.
I'm going to have to rewind that for the people in the back. The reason why it's so important for y'all to understand the rich white men, because it's power in it. It's power there. It is power there. They insulated this man. They protected him. That's the part that you're missing, because you are so caught up with the rich white man part that your brain failed to calculate what that means. It means he was insulated. He was protected. That is what that means. Hello, people. I know you are so caught up with race and you don't want to hear anything bad when it comes to white men. But the simple fact is, white, rich, there's power there, because you guys protect and you insulate, because you don't want to tell the truth about what the rich white men really do. But I know you don't want to tell the truth, but I'm going to play it for you. Pay attention.
To Jeffrey Epstein's life and what that looked like. And lawyers for his estate basically told the committee that they had photos, they have videos that were taken at any property that was owned, rented, operated, or used by Jeffrey Epstein for about 30 years. So that just kind of tells you the span of what you're looking at here, is Jeffrey Epstein was surrounding himself with a lot of powerful people, which of course we now know also helped insulate him at times from the crimes he was committing.
Let's go live right now to our senior reporter, Annie Greer, who is working the story for us. What are we learning, first of all?
Rich white men insulated this man. They protected him. Well, you keep talking about Barack Obama. We're talking about the people that were with Jeffrey Epstein. Let me know if you see a picture of Barack Obama, and we would definitely talk about it. But, I know you guys are so racist that you guys are so fucking jealous of Barack Obama. You want to put his pecker in your mouth. What the hell does Barack Obama have to do with any of this? Barack Obama got more class than your entire race. Okay, I said what I said.
From these new images, and what are lawmakers saying about all of this?
Well, Wolf, there are 19 images released by the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, and they're still combing through over 95,000. But these photos really give us an inside look into the most powerful men in the world that Jeffrey Epstein was connected with. And 3 of those photos include President Donald Trump. One of them is with the president and 6 women whose faces are blurred out. There's another photo of the president and 1 woman whose face is blurred out, and a third photo of the president, Epstein, and a woman whose face is not blurred. Then there is a photo of what appears to be a box of novelty condoms with President Trump's face on it, with a price tag of $4.50, with the caption saying, "I'm huge." And Trump is not the only one who was featured in these photos. There's also images of Alan Dershowitz, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Woody Allen. These are some of the most powerful men in the world that have been known to be connected to Epstein previously, but these photos just provide more context on their relationship. There's no evidence of sexual misconduct or sexual activity in these photos, and it doesn't appear that any of the women in these photos are underage, but they come from Epstein's Gmail account. It's unclear who took these photos or what.
Again, we still have not released, or I'm sorry, we haven't received anything from the Trump administration. So tell me this. Why has Donald Trump not given you guys anything? All of these pictures are coming from the House Democrats who is working with Jeffrey Epstein's estate. Y'all do know what an estate means. It means like his computers, his email account, everything that they had. They are getting this stuff directly from them because Donald Trump hasn't released anything because he don't want y'all to know, honey.
The context was around them, but it's part of the Oversight Committee's broader investigation into Epstein, where they've received thousands of documents. Listen to the top Democrat on the Oversight Committee who spoke with reporters this morning upon these new photos release.
It will take days and weeks to ensure that we.
This is the last time I'm going to answer this dumb comment. And this is what I say. You Trump supporters are very uneducated. Whenever a case is going on, like y'all like to talk about Diddy, you only talk about Diddy because he's black, but Diddy wasn't accused of what your president is accused of. Okay. In fact, I believe Diddy's case will be overturned because when grown women agree to do something, I don't know how that becomes, what it was called, considering they were the ones participating and he was like the watchman or whatever. But anywho, you people are weird. Okay. So you guys keep talking about Joe Biden, and I don't give a damn about Joe Biden either. Let's just be real. I mean, I don't. All he did was sleep on a job, similar to what Donald Trump is doing now. So for y'all to think that I'm just so hate Donald Trump, I'm just speaking the truth. Biden couldn't release the files because it was an ongoing case. Like, why do y'all continue to say the same shit? Like, do you ever do your own research? Google is free. Even if you don't have internet, I'm sure you have a cell phone. You can literally take your cell phone. I can take this cell phone or this one because I got 2, and you just Google. You can Google this stuff. Joe Biden couldn't release the records because there was an ongoing case. Whenever a case is ongoing, the records are sealed. So can y'all please stop, please?
But those photos, and that a redaction is done in the appropriate way. Let me just also say that clearly we have put out, I think maybe 15 to 20 of those photos this morning. Democrats have. We will continue to put out more photos in the days and weeks ahead. But I just caution folks that the redaction process and ensuring that we are protecting the survivors and the women who were abused by Epstein are protected.
Now, Republicans on the panel who are also conducting this investigation are accusing Democrats of cherry picking photos here because, again, these are only 19 photos released over the 95,000 that the committee will have access to and start combing through. But all of this comes as we are waiting for the Department of Justice to release all of the files it has on the Epstein case.
Like I just said, we're still waiting on the Department of Justice, Donald Trump, to release the files, y'all. They already signed it, everything signed, sealed, and delivered. and your dusty, nasty president still have not released the files. He has waited and waited and waited, and I have a inkling that he's going to come out and say, oh, we can't release it because we got an open investigation. This is white predator protecting another one. Donald Trump says he doesn't want to release the files because the files have loads of information in. So what the Democrats is doing is they're trying to address the issue with the American people by going to the estate, getting as much as they can get. While your president that ran on the notion that he was going to release everything Jeffrey Epstein related, probably was paid by these billionaires, and now he doesn't want to release the information. He doesn't care about the victims. He don't care about anybody but his pedo self.
Its possession that was required by law after passing in Congress last month.
No, Patrick, your grandparents are dumb as F. The pedos that raised you are dumb as F. You're probably one yourself. That's why you support pedos, you sick individual.
Clearly, there's been an enormous amount of information that have been provided to Congress and the Justice Department, for that matter, from the Epstein estate. Do we anticipate there's a lot more still to come?
Well, that is a moving target, Wolf, but this investigation is ongoing, and the Epstein estate has been extremely cooperative with the committee and provided some of the biggest bombshell pieces of information that we've received so far, including that birthday book from over the summer where President Trump appeared to have written a birthday note to Epstein. So there's a lot of treasure trove of information in there, and we'll wait to see if any more comes out.
Republican Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky is speaking about the decision to release that and to release more documents. He's in favor of releasing more of the Epstein files. Listen to this.
But we'll see. Have you seen some of these photos that Democrats on the House Oversight Committee put out this morning from the Epstein estate?
I have not.
Generally, the DOJ is on the clock. They have less or just about a week to comply with your law and release the files. Do you have faith that the Department of Justice will do that, comply with the law?
I've been encouraged. They went back to the three judges and asked them to release grand jury material in light of the Epstein Files Transparency Act. And all three judges have reversed their prior stance, but for a good reason. They cite the Epstein Files Transparency Act. So you've got three grand juries that are going to release all their materials, redacted with the victims' names, to the DOJ. So it's a good sign that
Yeah, it's all about getting the pedo out of office and behind bars. You know, we have a pedo protection program because, just say it, call it what it is, most of the Donald Trump supporters are pedos themselves. Stay away from those children, and you leave those kids alone, you filthy McNasty.
DOJ went back and asked for that grand jury material.
If DOJ doesn't release the files it has by next Friday, is there anything Congress can do to compel that to happen?
Well, I mean, it's a crime if they don't. It's not like they're in contempt of Congress because they didn't respond to a subpoena. This is a new.
Some of y'all are so funny in the chat. A house, kids in the background. I don't have no damn kids. Kids? No, I don't have any kids. Yeah, maybe you should watch your kids, I guess.
Law with criminal implications if they don't follow it. But I was encouraged again by the fact that they went back to these three judges and got the judges to release the grand jury material to the DOJ.
Is that grand jury material enough, do you think,
No.
to comply with the law?
No, the grand jury material is just a small fraction of what the DOJ needs to release, because the FBI and DOJ probably has evidence that they chose not to take to the grand jury, because the evidence they're in possession of would implicate other people, not Epstein or Maxwell. So the grand jury material is probably going to just be mostly facts and evidence.
So there y'all have it. Donald Trump is not releasing the files. Remember, we already went through this months ago where they voted to release the files, but your pedo president, who don't give a damn about none of y'all, by the way, make Argentina great again. That is what MAGA stands for. Somebody put that in the chat, and I love it because I'm still in it. Trump is make Argentina great again. He don't give a damn about you all. He don't care that you want Some of you all want to protect children because a lot of y'all are PEDOSs and you don't give a damn about children. You support a felon president who has been sued, liable for SA to a woman. And this is who you support because you are a nasty and you are a disgusted individual. Now, Donald Trump did say, and I think I'm gonna bring that up because, you know, Donald Trump, like, he write his own jokes. He said he loves the uneducated. Donald Trump said that. He said he loves the uneducated. He said this. And y'all still support a man that say he loves the damn uneducated. Now, you got to be uneducated to say that. You love the uneducated? He loves the uneducated. Like, this is, he loves the poorly uneducated. Y'all gotta, you know, we can't make this shit up. Donald Trump said he loves the poorly uneducated.
We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated. We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
He says he loves the poorly uneducated. He loves you idiots.
One with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated. We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.